Seismologists in Japan have made a discovery that could cause concern. They say there are almost certainly far more dangerous active faults than was generally believed. That's because almost all of them are underground and difficult to spot. NHK World's Mitsuko Nishikawa has more.
Seismologists have tried for decades to predict when earthquakes will strike, without success. They typically watch for movements in known major active faults, but they've shifted their studies to include seemingly small active faults considered risks. Professor Shinji Toda at Tohoku University is one of the experts closely watching the link between active faults and earthquakes. He studied quakes with a magnitude of 6.5 or more that occurred in Japan over the past 90 years. He focused on the changes these faults made on the surface when they moved. For some of the quakes he looked at, shown here in white, he identified clear vertical and horizontal displacements corresponding to the scale of the quakes or the size of the active faults. In other words, they behaved as expected. But the tremors shown in red didn't. They account for as much as 80% of all powerful quakes. Researchers found they only had slight noticeable changes or no changes at all on the surface. More importantly, for most of these quakes, the active faults had not been identified beforehand. One such quake happened 5 years ago in the northeastern prefecture of Iwate. Scientists found only small vertical displacements around the epicenter. Professor Toda carried out an excavation survey to get more information. He found vertical displacements of about 2 meters underground, not visible from the surface. This was evidence that the active fault had moved again and again in earthquakes in the past.
It becomes very difficult to find an active fault when it shows only tiny displacements on the surface.
Researchers have not given up finding a way to detect active faults more accurately. They're now interested in using a laser-based aerial method as one survey technology. Lasers can clearly show the active fault even if it's covered by thick trees. But lasers alone cannot identify all the faults hiding underground.
Researchers need to discuss the appropriate survey methods. We know now that we can't say places without active faults are safe.
Scientists may one day be able to detect all the active faults that trigger disastrous tremors. But until then, the new study suggests people should not drop their guard, even if current research says the seismic activity in the region is limited. Mitsuko Nishikawa, NHK World, Tokyo.